Hey, welcome back to Indofunk Studios. And today we're going to discuss a pedal debate. I was hanging out with a guitar player friend of mine the other day, and so of course we're talking about effects pedals, and then we veered off into that danger zone, which is one of the classic debates in pedal chain placement, which is modulation. Does that come before delay or after delay? Um, so I know standard guitar knowledge is that modulation should be before delay. So, in other words, you're applying delay to a modulated signal. Um, what I've found on trumpet, or maybe just horns in general, is that it works better the other way around. So, in other words, modulation comes after delay. So you are applying modulation to a delayed signal. And here's my explanation, and this is what I'm going to try to demonstrate to you. Now, we all know that guitars have no built-in sustain, right? I mean, you go plink, and that string will stop vibrating. Whereas with a trumpet, I can play a note and it'll last as long as I am blowing air through the horn. And there are techniques to continuously blow air through the horn even when you run out of air in your lungs. So technically, I could play a note forever until I pass out. um, Guitar, you can't. However, and this is where I need you guitar players, because I know there are some guitar players out there watching this. I need you to kind of suspend your preconceived notions or your post-conceived notions, because I'm sure you've been playing for decades. Let's go with me on this, okay? Now, when I play a note on trumpet, okay, when I end the note specifically, that note is over. It's done. The bell has stopped vibrating, air has stopped moving through the horn. There's no sound after that. Perfect silence, right? On a guitar, though, if you go plink, even if you lift your finger off of the fingerboard, there is still a little bit of signal. The wood in the guitar is still vibrating a little bit. The other strings are vibrating sympathetically. There's like a little bit of sound, maybe even just noise, a 60 cycle hum going through your pickup. And the reason that this becomes important in this discussion is because what is modulation? It is a sine wave. Not necessarily a sine wave, it can be a triangle wave, a square wave, sawtooth, whatever, but it is a wave form, right? So it starts at zero, goes up, comes down, and back to zero. That's the entire cycle. So if I play a quick note, it's possible that it might only catch like one part of the cycle. And then if I delay that, you'll only hear whap, 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 whap. You won't hear wow, wah. You won't hear the full cycle. Whereas if I play that short note and it's already delayed before going into the modulation will give you the full cycle. Whereas on guitar, that might be less important because there's always some noise coming out of your guitar, so you can kind of hear the full cycle even on a short note. So let's dive in. We will be using my current pedal board, and the modulation I'll be using is the synesthesia dual modulation machine, which I highly recommend. It's a great pedal, and it has great algorithms. Plus, it has an effects loop that you can place before or after the synesthesia pedal itself. So it's as easy as like clicking one button for me to change it from pre to post. So it's going to make this video particularly very easy. The delay pedal we'll be using today is the delay pedal that happens to be in the loop of the synesthesia. It's just the Dodd rubber neck. And in the effects loop of the rubber neck, I have a compressor, but that's just to just to give it a little brightness because I don't like the very dark analog voiced delay. So that's what we're using. I'll only use those two pedals. I won't use any of the other pedals on my board, so just so as not to confuse things. So let's dive in. First, I'll be using a phaser, and I'm going to put it post delay, which is the way that I like it. So first I'll give you a nice long note. So you can hear the full cycle there. So you hear the whole thing. Now I'm going to play a short note. So you should be able to hear it goes boing, meow, boing, meow, boing, meow. So you can hear the full modulation cycle. Now I'm going to change it to pre, so modulation comes first and then delay. Same thing, first a long note, you'll be able to hear the whole cycle. And now my short note. Now you should be able to hear that it only delayed one part of the cycle. So it was bwah, 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 bwah. You couldn't hear the whole cycle there. So I preferred the other way, where you can hear the whole cycle through the delay. One last thing I want to leave you with is, so logically, since we're talking about cycles and getting a note to, getting a sound to go through the whole cycle, the shorter the cycle, the less difference this should make, right? And what is a short cycle modulation? It's chorus. So let's try chorus, and you'll hear that it makes much less of a difference with chorus. Okay, so now we have chorus. We have chorus going into, no, sorry, delay going into chorus. So the chorus is post delay. Again, with a long note, you hear the full cycle, no problems. Now we'll try short notes. It's a fast enough cycle that you can hear the whole thing. Now I'm going to switch it to pre, so the modulation is going into the delay. And short notes. Very little difference. So there you have it. Delay before modulation, modulation before delay. Listen, whatever sounds better to you. Like, subscribe, and do all that stuff.